Hi there, my name's Marisa and I write the blog Food in Jars. It's a blog devoted to canning, baking, and generally making things at home that you would typically buy at the grocery store. Today we're going to make a batch of pear vanilla jam with lots of fresh pears and some vanilla beans and some sugar, water. We're going to cook it down to a delicious, spreadable, sticky mess. So come on over to the stove and let's get canning. Alright, we are going to start with our pears. We're just going to break them down and chop them up. And the way I like to do this is just kind of cut them into quarters and then come around with a paring knife to cut out the hard inner core. Okay, so I just finished dicing up our last pear. I'm just going to pour it into the measuring cup. We're right at about 8 cups, which is perfect, just what we want to be. Alright, so we're going to take our chopped pears and pour them directly into the pot. This is an 8-quart pot, so it's going to give us plenty of room for bubbling, which is what we want. I'm going to add our 4 cups of sugar, and then we're going to get our 1 cup of filtered water. So I'll just... So I don't have the heat on yet. I'm just going to kind of stir everything together, because what we want to do is have everything get we want the sugar to dissolve before we really turn the heat on, or at least break down a lot. So we're just going to let that sit there for a couple minutes without the heat on, and we're going to get our vanilla beans prepped. So what I'm doing is I'm laying them flat on my cutting board, and I'm just splitting them in half so that you kind of have 2 little bits. I'm going to grab a paring knife, I'm going to open them up, and then I'm just going to scrape down the sides so that we get all of that vanilla caviar. So we got all the vanilla in there, and now we're just going to turn the heat on. So I'm going to give it a little stir to help get those vanilla beans moving around in there. And now it's just a matter of letting it cook. We're going to watch it. It's going to go through a bunch of different stages. It's going to start to bubble. The fruit will start to break down, and eventually it's going to turn into jam. So our jam has cooked down to the point where I can smash the bits of pear with the back of my spoon, which means to me that it's time to move on to the next step, which is first pulling out the bits of vanilla bean that are in here. And now I'm going to take my trusty immersion blender and turn it on up. And I am doing this on the heat. If that makes you nervous, feel free to pull it off. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because it's boiling really out of control. And I'm going to zest in a lemon. We're going to put both the zest and the juice in. The acid in the lemon juice will also help with the set of the jam. Now I'm going to grab my pectin. I'm using 1 packet of liquid pectin, and we're going to really bring it to a vigorous boil for about 2 minutes. And that's in order to activate that pectin and make sure it works with the sugar and the acid in the jam and gets us a really nice set. So our jam is finished cooking. It's getting nice and thick. So I'm just going to turn the heat off and kind of slide it half on, half off the burner, and just let it sit there for a couple of minutes while we get our jars out of the canning pot. So I'm just going to dip in, wipe the bottom so I don't make too much of a mess as I'm going over, and then just fill my jar. Fill up the measuring cup and pour it in. Okay, so now we're going to put them in our canning pot, and those are going to process for 10 minutes. Right. Just going to use the jar lifter and grab them. So there is our pear vanilla jam. It is pears and sugar and a little lemon juice and lots of vanilla bean, and it's wonderful on toast or in yogurt or stirred into oatmeal. However you want to use it, go for it and make it because it's really super delicious. Thanks for watching. Happy canning!